Right now, you ready, Chancellor? Yes, you just sat down. Please welcome someone who's been a wonderful supporter of learning leaders and as well as at it every day for years now, running the New York City public school system. Please welcome the Chancellor of New York City's public schools, Joel Klein.
Good morning. I always regret that I have my back to some of you, but I like when people have my back, so you make sure you do that for me, okay? Let me thank you, Dana, for hosting this and for serving on the board of Learning Leaders. Mindy, I want to thank you for the incredible work you and Learning Leaders are doing in this city. It's really a tribute. And I want to thank all of you. You know, when you think about the power of learning leaders and what it means to our schools and our children, you understand that it is, particularly at times like this in our nation and in our city where we're going through some challenging, hard economic times, you realize the power of community, the ability of people to come in and volunteer and support the work we're doing is really a transcendent value. And Learning Leaders has done that year in and year out. Thousands and thousands of people in our schools there working with our kids, supporting the schools, the children, and their families. And I'm enormously grateful for that. In fact, it was just a couple of weeks ago that they had a big conference here in New York about Service Nation. Now, you may have seen it. Senator Obama and Senator McCain spoke there, and there were a lot of people from all over the country talking about the fact that we as a nation are not focused on service and volunteerism in the way that we need to be. It's one of our potentially great strengths. And I was so proud to be able to say a model of what I believe Service Nation is all about is Learning Leaders here in New York City, and how that resonated with everybody throughout the country. You know, Merrill Tisch talked to you about changes in schools and the things that endure and connect the past and the future. I do think our schools are making progress. I think we're working together on behalf of our children. I think we have a lot more work to do. But one of the staples, one of the mainstays, one of the things that will truly matter is whether each of you and your friends in your communities continue to volunteer, do work in our schools, whether our parents are active in our PTAs, whether our communities are supportive of the work that our schools do. And each of you, in addition to all the other things that you're assigned to do, should go out and find one more person in your community who will become a learning leader and volunteer and work with our schools. It's so valuable to our kids. When I think of the people who serve and they sit down, some of them, and they tutor kids and read to them, and I think about my own young daughter who's done that on a volunteer basis and how that changes lives for kids. When I think about how a school is a community and people come together, and it really does take the village to get the work done, and how valuable that is. And I also think about the rewards you get for being part of something that's so meaningful and so valuable. You know, think about Ruth Silber, who's here today. Are you here, Ruth? Ruth, can you stand up, please? Let's think about her for a second. You look so beautiful, and you had your hair done for this special occasion. But no, think about it. This woman is 83 years old, and she has worked for the past 13 years in PS 273. And I'm going to make a deal with you. 13 years from now, I'm going to come back, and we're going to celebrate your 26th year at PS 273. Thank you, and God bless you, Ruth, for what you do for our kids. You know, one of the things I admire so much, too, about Mindy and her leadership here is not just the incredible successes, the programs that you're going to have for English language learners and the challenges you're going to help us meet, but she's always looking for additional ways, and she gets the Service Nation concept at a very deep level. And so this year, Learning Leaders is announcing a new initiative. It's going to be called Learning Leaders Great School Volunteer Week in April. It's going to be part of National Volunteer Week with 500 volunteer events in 500 schools. So what we're asking you and each of you is to do a really major event this April and to show the world that there's no place like New York City when it comes to volunteerism. There's no place like New York City when it comes to generosity, and there's no more welcoming city in the entire world. Whatever country you come from, whatever language you speak, you come to New York City and you get opportunity. You become part of a community. You become part of a city. People always say to me, it's a weird thing about your city. It is big, it's complex, and in certain ways it's impersonal, but its people always talk about community. They always talk about opportunity. And they talk about what it means to be able to come to a city from any place in the world and to aspire for better things for you, for your family, for your children, and particularly for your children. And that's why education matters so much. And that's why in New York City we work together to put children first. And that's why Learning Leaders is such a vital part of the work we do. I really come here every year and I get charged up because I look around this room and I know each of you is committed to making the world better for the kids of the city of New York.